Shaytan does not have jurisdiction of your heart. He doesn't control your heart. Who controls your heart? Allah controls the heart. So all the things that happen within our heart, Shaytan doesn't control it. Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. All the turner of the hearts. Khalas, Allah is the one who controls hearts. No one has any access to our heart. And to me, that's such a beautiful thing. So we need to sort of trick Shaytan into places and positions where he doesn't have jurisdiction in. So get him from there. So now my heart, Shaytan doesn't have no jurisdiction towards that. All right. So now loving who I want to love, Shaytan doesn't have access to that. Does that make sense? Shaytan cannot make my heart love somebody. Yes, Shaytan can access our heart, but cannot control our heart. He can make us do things, say things, see things, hear things, think of things. These are all channels to the heart. Yes, he can contaminate the channel to the heart. He can do that, 100%. But the heart itself belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to me, this hadith has a different meaning, completely different meaning. The hadith of the person who continues to come to see the Prophet ﷺ, and in most narrations his name is Abdullah Bin Z radiyallahu anhu. Abdullah Bin Z anhu is the one who saw the adhan in his dream. Remember the Prophet comes to Medina and he's trying to figure out how to give adhan, like how to call people towards salah. Abdullah bin Zayd and another sahabi saw the adhan in the dream. Who's this other sahabi? Umar bin Khattab. Okay? Again, there's going to be some ilmi nuggets that we're going to be speaking about. Just write them down. Remember, because it's good. Like I'll say a few things here and there, their names and stuff like that. Just make sure, again, sisters or brothers have photographic memory. You want to learn from them. You can. But even if you pay attention, even if you don't, this is not like a class where you take notes. I'm not encouraging you to take notes in this class. This is not a class. So even if you come with wudu, you pray salah, you pray 2 rakats hajah. Like, you always pray 2 rakats hajah before you sit in a talk. And I've never given a talk in my life or any session in my life without praying 2 rakats. You pray 2 rakats, oh Allah, I'm sitting in this talk, make me benefit from it. Make me memorize everything that's being said. Make me able to convey it to others. Ask Allah, you don't have to even write anything, you remember it. Okay? Khair. That person, his name is Abdullah Bin Z anhu. He saw a dream about the adhan. He's the same person who used to always come in the middle of the night to the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, see if he's sitting there praying salah. He would just look at him and go back home, and he would try to keep the image of the Prophet in his mind, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he'd come back again. The Prophet said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "Ya Rasulullah, right when your image leaves my mind, I come back to get another image of you, and I can't live at home without seeing you, without having you in front of my eyes all the time. I can't. So I keep coming back to look at you, see you." So this person, let me finish the story about this person, I'll tell you what the hadith is. This person got the news of the Prophet passing away while he was in his garden after Fajr Salah. His son comes to him and says, "You know what happened today? The Prophet passed away. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam." I actually have a keen curiosity towards how people reacted after they heard the Prophet passing away. The Prophet had a donkey. He had a donkey that he used to ride upon. This donkey was really cute. Donkeys can be cute. Yeah, of course. This Prophet's donkey was cute. You know why it was cute? Because the Prophet, when he had no one there to tell him something, he would tell the donkey, "Go get Abu Bakr." And he would walk to Abu Bakr's house and he would hit his head at the door. Right? And when Abu Bakr would see the donkey, he would know the Prophet called me. So the donkey was the Prophet's just working for him, such a cool character. And when the Prophet passed away, he was, I'm sure, animals have senses too. He just walked into a well and died. Basically, how can I live without the Prophet ﷺ? He couldn't live. He just walked away, passed away. Yes, Habibi. Good, yeah. He's the one who put the camera on. Next time, don't put it on. Unless you're given instructions. Who am I to give you any instructions? Yeah, I get it. I understand. So this man, when he heard the Prophet passed away, right when he heard the Prophet passed away, he raised his hands. He says, Allahumma a'mini hatta la ara ahadan ba'da habibi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh Allah, make me blind so that I'd never see anyone in this world after I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fa'amiya, khalas, he became blind at the moment. Instantly became blind. That he could not tolerate ever not seeing the Prophet again. So the last image that he wanted to have in front of his eyes was the sight of the Prophet ﷺ. What sight? The sight of his smile that he saw the night before. That's the last time he saw him. I don't see anything else again after this. So when he came and he kept coming back and forth, and the Prophet said, why you keep coming back? Ya Rasulullah, غَدًا تُرْفَعْ مَعَ النَّبِيِّينَ فَلَا نَصِلُ إِلَيْكَ. Tomorrow Allah is going to raise you among the prophets, and we're never going to be able to access you, to see you, to listen to you. What's going to happen to us in this world? I'd rather just live with you in this dunya. In Jannah, I'm not able to see you. Then the Prophet ﷺ said that أَنْتَ مَعَ مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You will be in Jannah with those who you love. Do you understand what I just said? I'm going to talk today's entire session is about something related to this. You will be with those who you love in Jannah. Not your actions are not going to determine your status in Jannah. Your a'mal will not determine your status in Jannah. Your tahajjud will not determine your status in Jannah. My tahajjud, my tilawah will not determine that. Allah will look. إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. Allah knows the depths of a heart. What do you love the most? Who do you love the most? And those who you love the most, are you going to be with them in Jannah? So when the Prophet ﷺ said this to this man, أَنْتَ مَعَ مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ نَا أَنْتَ مَعَ مَنْ عَمِلْتَ بِمِثْلِهِ. Not that you will be with the ones who you follow in their footsteps, the ones you act upon. No, not that. Those who you love the most. And the Sahaba that were sitting there, now when I say this, for us, some of us can be like, oh yeah, we can falsely claim that we love certain things or certain people. But the Sahaba were very confident about who they loved the most. So how do you think they reacted? Anas bin Malik, he said, Wallahi al-Azim, after accepting Islam, no day on this earth was better than that day when we heard that from the Prophet ﷺ. That was the best day of my life. That's when I knew I'm sorted. We're good. Because, فاشهدوا أني أحب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأني أحب أبا بكر وأني أحب عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنهما وأني أرجو أن أكون معهم وإن لم أعمل بأعمالهم. He said, let me make you guys my witnesses. I love the Prophet ﷺ. I love Abu Bakr anhu. I love Umar anhu. They passed away. This is the time of Uthman bin Affan. And he says, I am confident I will be with them in Jannah even though my actions are not similar to them. So, when we speak about the pious predecessors, the Salafus Salihin, the idea is to fall in love with them. And it's very easy to fall in love with them. Wallahi, it's so easy. The gap between loving them is just learning about them. Because it's not hard to love someone who's so nice. Is it hard to love someone who's generous? Is it hard to love someone who's forgiving, caring, someone who's just so compassionate? It's not hard to love them. Every time you hear something about them, you love them even more. Right? But the problem is we don't learn about them enough. And so the more we learn about them, that's why Imam Shafi'i, rahmatullah, has a poem, and I want you, Miftaah Secret students, to definitely memorize it by the end of the year. This is like, I said this yesterday in the morning when I came here. There's 7 doors of Jahannam, and there's also 8 doors of Jannah. This is my own, that's why I want this recorded. Next thing you know, I can have people like, oh, you know what Sheikh said? And the next thing you know, this is my, you know what? Put it on the record. There's 7 doors of Jahannam and 8 doors of Jannah. I believe, I think the 8th door of Jannah is like the back door for people like us. We're gonna sneak our way in through love for the elders. Hey, how'd you make it here? I love you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not gonna make it because of our good deeds. We're like, you know, like some people just sneak into the house. You know those guys who sneak into Miftaah programs? You know what I'm saying? They make it too. Rafi? Yeah, there's people who snuck their way into like 5 years of associates. Brother Rafi. Just keeps coming, keeps coming. He also studied too. Wallahi, I believe in shortcuts and detours to Jannah. And I think that 8 doors for those people. Right? When we need to know what they are. And the biggest shortcut, like bang, like here, boom, is just loving the pious people. Just loving them. You have to fall in love with them. You'll fall in love with them so much that when you hear about them, you can't wait to hear more about them. When you hear about them, you cry. Like, man, these people are so amazing. I just want to meet them. You know, Iqbal in one poem, he says, "Gay din ke tanha tha main anjuman mein, yahan ab mere razada aur bhi hain." He says, you know, towards the end of the lives of pious people, like there are people like that in our life today, towards the end of their life, what they're actually saying, what they're actually feeling is they just can't wait to meet their pious predecessors. They just want to leave this world and finally just be with them. Like imagine Sheikh Yusuf Mutala, rahmatullahi, he's been teaching Bukhari for 30, 40 years. The book. Don't you think he wants to meet the author? Right? Sometimes you know people meet Sheikh Mikael Smith. You know Sheikh Mikael Smith, Qalam? And you know, you hear, like you're reading his books. What's his books called? Like Emotional Intelligence or When Hearing Becomes? With the heart and mind, when hearing becomes listening. I wrote that. He just put his name on there. Right? So, and then you meet like, Sheikh, Wallah, I was reading your book. Thank you so much. You get so excited meeting the author. Like you literally have these weird things called signing. Like everyone's standing in line, I'm gonna sign your book. Yeah, we have those. May Allah bless those who do it. I just think it's pretty strange, right? And people are signing books. You want to meet, imagine the scholars, they want to meet Imam Bukhari. They want to meet Mufti Abdul Rahman, this great scholar. He went to Imam Bukhari's grave for the first time, like a few years ago, in Bukhara. And his student was with him. He says, I've never seen this man cry this much in my life. The moment he went there, he just started crying. And someone asked him, why are you crying so much? He said, because of this man. I've been teaching his book for 50 years. Allah gave me izzah because of this man. I owe this man so much. I can't wait till I meet him. Because of this man. Like, who are we? We're elevated because we're teaching about them. Does that make sense? Like any school you go to, sisters and brothers, any school, any seminary, if you walk into Miftaah, for example, and the seminary is teaching you books, and you're like, all the books are authored by the Miftaah scholars, you should just walk out. Like these guys are full of themselves. All right? Usually you enter our Darul Uloom Madrasa, 7 years, every year there's like 7, 8 books, at least. So 7 years, at least 7, 8 books. You can't, it's numerous, 50, 60 books you're studying. That's just the textbook. And then those textbooks have commentaries. All together it's probably like 150, 200 books that you have access to. None of them are written by anyone who's teaching. None of them. They're written by people who came many years before us. Don't you think we want to meet them? So Iqbal, he says, Khalas, gaydin ke tanha tha main anjuman mein. Now the days of me being alone, because people like that, they actually feel lonely here and they feel like they're part of their own family there. Does that make sense? They feel lonely here. Yahan ab mere razna aur bhi hain. He's like, now I have people who I can tell secrets to that won't expose me. Because in dunya, you tell something to someone, khalas, everyone knows. You tell a desi something, you tell a desi auntie, oof. You tell desi auntie, you know this happened, khalas, the whole world knows. If you tell a desi auntie, kisi ko nahi batana. Don't tell anyone, that's breaking news. If you make that disclaimer, okay? Over here, you can't get away with that. So Imam Shafi'i, this poem I want you to memorize is, أُحِبُّ الصَّالِحِينَ وَلَسْتُ مِنْهُمْ. Can you guys say Arabic with me? أُحِبُّ الصَّالِحِينَ. Say it with me. وَلَسْتُ مِنْهُمْ. I love the pious, and oh Allah, I am acknowledging that I'm not among them. Oh Allah, that's أُحِبُّ الصَّالِحِينَ وَلَسْتُ مِنْهُمْ. I am acknowledging that I'm among them. لَعَلَّ اللَّهِ, say it, أَن يَنَالَ لِي بِهِمْ شَفَاعَةً. I am hopeful to Allah that because of my love for them, Allah will accept their intercession for me. Yeah, Imam Bukhari, I love you so much. I taught your books. Really? Come, let's go Jannah. I'll go from the back door, you go from the front. But we're both in the same place. Then he continues to say, وَأَكْرَهُ مَنْ تِجَارَتُهُ بِالْمَعَاصِي. وَأَكْرَهُ مَنْ تِجَارَتُهُ بِالْمَعَاصِي. He says, oh Allah, and I despise, I dislike, I hate the sin of sinners. You can't hate sinners. I don't like the company of sinners. I don't, تِجَارَتُهُ بِالْمَعَاصِي, meaning all day these people are just talking about dunya, talking about sins they committed, planning sins. I don't like this. All I'm telling, and he's telling them, Allah, you know the depths of my heart. So I can't front this. I'm telling you, this is my heart's condition. This is who I am. And then he says, وَلَوْ كُنَّا سِوَاءً فِي الْبِضَاعَةِ. And oh Allah, I acknowledge, possibly, I'm also a sinner, just like them. I'm a sinner with the sinners, but I like those who are righteous. I love those who are righteous, and I am hopeful because of my love for them, Allah will give me Jannah. So our jurisdiction of our heart, the Shaitan does not have jurisdiction of our heart. We have to love them, and we're banking on the fact that if we love them and we fall in love with them, we will make Jannah. Inshallah, say inshallah. And these sessions after Maghrib on Thursdays, 20-30 minutes max. I don't got more time than that, all right? And I don't want you to listen more than that. I'm probably gonna speak 20 minutes and make you guys speak to each other for 5-10 minutes, all right? Is gonna be about, these sessions are gonna be a little bit different. Usually when you speak about the pious predecessors, you speak about them as an individual and their life. But I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm gonna do? These sessions are gonna be about qualities. At the end of the day, we love them because of the qualities that they possessed. And we learn about those qualities so that maybe we can get those qualities. For example, next week's session is going to be about the quality of buka. You know what buka means? Crying. That's what it's going to be about, crying. And crying is an art. And crying is a hibah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, it's a gift from Allah. And لا تنزع الرحمة إلا من شقي. Allah does not snatch rahmah, soft-heartedness, tenderness, except from a wretched person. That person is wretched if he can't cry or she can't cry. So how did the people of the past cry in front of Allah? We're going to speak about crying and crying in the light of those people. Does that make sense? And so we're going to go through lives of different people. This is how this person cried. This is how this person cried. This is what he said about crying. So for like 15-20 minutes, at the end of the day, inshallah, you'll learn the art of crying. And then you also fall in love with them because of how much they cried in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man, this person cried that much? Let me try to cry a little bit. You get what I'm saying? And inshallah, until the end of the year, as long as Allah gives us life to do this will continue, different qualities. And every week you'll learn about, because at the end of the day, the human being is not honored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of their looks, because of what they possess. The real treasure in a human being is based on the qualities that person possesses. So your value in the eyes of Allah increases as qualities increase. And your value in the eyes of Allah decreases the more your qualities decrease. So you want to increase your repertoire of qualities, characteristics. And so I conclude with this poem of Sa'di. It's a Farsi poem. He says, And it's interesting, people always ask about like these qualities, and how do we develop these qualities? And he says a very interesting poem. He says, "Gile khushbu idar hammam ruze, rasida dasta mahbub badastum, badu guftam ki mushke ya abire, ke azbure dile aweze tu mustam, wa buhta man gile nachiz bughdam, walakin muddate wagul nashistam, jamali ham nashin darmand atharkat, wagadna man hama hakam hastam." He says, "Gile khushbu idar hammam ruze, Rasida dast mahbub badastam." He says, I walked into the garden. It's a metaphor. He said, I walked into a garden and I picked up the soil, the dirt around the flowers that were in the garden. Fataha miska. And there was this beautiful fragrance coming from the soil of the garden. This is just dirt. It's not the flower. It's not the roses. It's just the sand, the dirt, the soil around it. So I picked it up, fataha miska. It smells so beautiful. فَقُلْتُ لَهُ إِيشْ أَنْتَ أَتُرَابٌ أَمْ عَبِيرٌ. I said, are you dirt? What are you? Are you dirt? Or are you some sort of amber, some sort of fragrance? فَقَالَ التُّرَابُ. The dirt replied to me and said to me, the dirt speaking to him now, "Ma ana illa turab." Habibi, I am dirt. What you see is what I am. I'm nothing. I'm dirt. I'm just just a particle of dust, man. وَلَكِنِّي صَحِبْتُ الْأَزْهَارَ مُدَّةً فَأَثَرَ فِيهَا. But I have spent so much time around flowers that their fragrance has come into me. You understand? So if dirt and soil, by spending a lot of time around flowers, can develop that fragrance, maybe we're not going to change. Do you understand what I'm saying? Remember that hacks? This whole class is going to be hacks to Jannah. This is not class session. Maybe we're not going to change. And I'm saying even if we don't change, but the more we are introduced to these qualities, you're going to start getting the fragrance of them. Just some reminiscence of them. And since we love them, and we're going to have somewhat of it, subhanallah, you're going to be with those who you love. I'll give you an example. The Prophet, I was asked, Ayyul ashabi khayrun? Ayyul ashabi khayrun? Who are the best companions on this earth? Like if I want to become someone's friend, which friend should I choose? If I want to marry someone, who should I marry? Like what's the first thing I should think of? And he said, الَّذِينَ إِذَا رُؤُوا ذُكِرَ اللَّهِ. He said, my friend, the best companions on this earth are those when you see them, instantly you remember Allah. You see her, you remember like Maryam alayhi salam. You remember a Sahabiya. You see him, you remember a Prophet of Allah. I mean, not you are like that person. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to be Imam Shafi'i. Khalas, it's not going to happen. You understand? It's not going to happen. I was sitting in Scotland right now, and of course, this is an informal discussion, so I'm going to say some stories here and there. I'm a ghetto speaker, by the way. I just speak about random things, and but my thoughts are so jumbled. I look at everything and take lessons from it. So if I look at for example, the day I saw on 75, I saw a car. I was driving by and I saw a car stuck, and it was construction, one lane. So the car is stuck. There's no shoulders. So what happens now? Everyone behind him is stuck, and that line was like a never-ending line. I was like, man, my curiosity peaked. Boom, took the next exit, took a U-turn, right? Went all the way to the other side, and then, subhanAllah, I waited there. I'm going to see maybe I can help this guy. And then I saw the guy walking from the car with the gas, those little tank things. What is this called? Huh? Cans, right? Those to put gas in. So this fool, all right, was driving, was going through construction, his gas ran out. And now, because his gas ran out, he was in a place where a tow truck can't get there. Right? Because there's no way you can get this, the whole one lane. Okay? So everyone is stuck behind him. Habibi, they're stuck, they have no choice. The only way he can get is walk somewhere. Right? And someone has to be smart enough to go around the corner of the tow truck like that. I asked the dude, I'm like, yo, how long have you been stuck here for? Like an hour. This guy's all the way back stuck. What did those guys do? Nothing. They poor guys didn't do nothing. They didn't wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to drive behind this fool. Or this idiot who just like, there was gas stations, there were so many exits, not like in the middle of nowhere. You know when I saw that? I'm like, man, that is the example of a scholar who doesn't act upon his knowledge. You know, a leader. You know why, man? Because if you're a leader and your gas runs out, there's a lot of people following you. And then you become a hindrance between them going to Jannah. Like you just right there, you're stuck. They're all stuck behind you. Because they're following you. You're an idiot. Right? Until you don't move, they can't move forward. May Allah protect us from that. Parents too, man, sometimes. Like your gas, the example I thought of is your ilm, your dhikr, your spirituality. You cannot run out. If it runs out, there's a lot of people following you. And they don't deserve that. They want to come listen to you. They want to be with you, want to benefit from you. So you got to keep filling your tank up and keep coming to gatherings like this so you're full all the time, right? So I'm one of those like, think all these ghetto things. And so I was saying something before that. What was I saying? Huh? Scotland, yeah, thank you. I know what I was saying. I was in Scotland and I did something. Like what I do is when I talk on the phone, which I hardly pick up, what I do pick up, I hang up very quick. So the guy will go, boom, I hang up. Like I'm not good with awkward moments. All right, so inshallah, okay, inshallah. All right, make dua. You make dua for me. Same as I'm not good with that. All right, boom, I just hang up. I say my salam. I don't wait for him to say salam. Do you understand? And if I'm sitting with somebody talking to them, like I will abruptly just get up. Like I'll just say, all right, assalamu alaikum. Like we'll talk for 5 minutes. All right, but assalamu alaikum. And I'll just get up and leave. So I was doing that, and this person that was with me saw me do it a few times. I'm a nice guy. I'm just saying like, talking like I'm not like, all right, brother. I'm not one of those guys. So the guy, you know what he said to me? Subhanallah, he said to me, I love Maulana Yusuf Mutala Sahib. I love this man to death. He's a scholar of Darul Umm. He's like the Shaykh al-Hadith over there. He passed away. Amazing man. He's Mufti Asim's teacher, Shaykh. So you know this student was his student. He's been with him all his life. You know what he said to me? He said, Shaykh Yusuf Mutala used to do the same thing. And I was like, what? Wallahi, I can't tell you how I felt when I heard that. He said, Shaykh Yusuf Mutala used to do the exact same thing. He said, like, you remind me of him. I was like, what? Honestly, I was taken so back by it that I had to excuse myself to go to the room like, man, like did this guy just say I remind him of Shaykh Yusuf Mutala? Habibi, that is so powerful, right? And you know, he said something, he said, we're talking about something, and he's like, yeah, you know, Shaykh Yusuf Mutala never had an office in madrasa. And I'm like, really? I don't have an office in madrasa either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, wallahi, imagine you hear about the Prophet ﷺ. You hear about a quality of his, and you're like, you know what? My friend's like that. That guy's like that. Or you read something somewhere and then you saw someone and you're like, oh man, I read that about the Prophet. This is what the Prophet, he said, the best people are those who when you see them, you're reminded of Allah. You sit in the gatherings, they're reminded you of the people that passed. So inshallah, in these sessions that we have together, we are going to bridge the gap between us and them through their qualities. That's the goal. Between us and them through their qualities. So that we fall in love with them and perhaps we can get some fragrance. I'm not saying we will develop that, but we'll get some fragrance of it. So when you see them, like you looked at Abdullah bin Umar and you said, his quotes to people, لَوْ رَآكَ رَسُولُ لَا حَبَّكَ. If the Prophet saw you, he would have loved you. Like, that's a beautiful thing to say to somebody, right? Because you have some fragrance, you remind people of that. Today, people remind you of, when someone sees me, M3. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, can you talk about something else? I drive a Honda now, right? Someone sees me, like, they remind me of Iqbal poetry. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But still, like, maybe the Prophet ﷺ, some other person, but Iqbal is fine too. So inshallah, in these sessions, we're gonna have 20. Can I just make it 20 minutes? Are you guys still gonna come? Because it's long drive for some of you guys. Is 20 minutes fine? Or should I make it longer than that? No, I mean, I don't want to make it longer. Huh? 30? No way an hour. No way. Like, I'm doing it out of mercy for you guys. Because, too much intake is not good either. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to just take this session very, very, this is an important session for you guys. And for me. And may Allah bless you. Because of you, I'm excited again. Because I don't teach this anywhere. Right? The last time I taught this or I spoke about these things, never. Long time ago. So I can read about people I love because of you guys. I got tricked into it. And I'm thankful, actually. I'm actually thankful that I got tricked into doing this, because now, inshallah, imagine me reading about the cry of the pious predecessors, about how they used to cry. Imagine me reading about how they used to react when they heard about the Prophet's name, right? How they used to pray salah. What was their reaction when they heard adhan? You want to know about them. Inshallah, this gap that we will fill between us and them, two things will happen. One, we'll fall in love with them. And second, potentially we'll get some of that fragrance, that scent. So that when people, this idea, what do you smell like? The Prophet spoke about that a lot. And it's not real fragrance, but it's the smell of a'mal. It's not the smell of like itar and stuff. Khalas, you should wear that too. But it's about the smell of good deeds. Like that. This person, man. When you see him, he reminds me of this, reminds me of that. And inshallah, if we have that fragrance, inshallah, people will walk around us, be with us, and they can smell it from us, and then they will get closer to Islam. They will get closer to Deen. May Allah make us beacons of hidayah. May Allah make us among those who are guided ourselves and are a source of guidance for others.